My great-grandfather, Sir Clough Williams-Ellis, was the architect and creator of Portmeirion village in North Wales. My grandmother, Susan Williams-Ellis, was born and brought up here, surrounded by creative people and the beautiful exotic plants and gardens. I think this gave her a real feel for form, shape and pattern that came in useful when her father asked her to design some ceramics for the gift shop here. I remember on our weekly trips to Wales, we would get over the 2-hour drive by having afternoon tea in my grandparents' house. And the garden, vivid green grass and beautiful hydrangeas that they'd planted. And the Botanic garden tea set sitting on a spindly wire table on the lawn. Also, my grandmother had 3 trees that she'd clipped into the shapes of peacocks, and she had to continuously trim them to keep them in control. So the success of the products at the gift shop in Portmeirion eventually led to Susan buying 2 potteries in Stoke-on-Trent, and she'd be then designing but also making the pots. And this was really key because it meant that she was now designing shapes and forms, and that was really inspirational to her. So in 1960, Portmeirion Potteries was born. My grandmother loved colour and had a unique sense of style. She had a more is more approach to fashion and always wore masses of costume jewellery. For example, long beaded necklaces or folk jewellery made with scented resins. In the 1970s, Susan started work on what has become Portmeirion's most loved and iconic range. Inspired by nature, she wanted Botanic Garden to bring the outside in. She wanted the range to look like a beautiful English garden when laid out on a table. My grandmother was mad about plants, and the range is inspired by her find of antique botanical books. The Botanic Garden range launched in 1972, encapsulating the mood for casual dining, and has since been Portmeirion's most loved and iconic range across the world. My sisters and I remember very fondly visiting the Stoke factory as children. We were entertained and set to work, putting our own litho designs onto seconds, plates and bowls. The Botanic Garden flowers were some of the most decorative and some of our favourites, and I imagine we created some rather over-the-top pieces. To this day, there is so much that goes into the production of the beautiful Botanic Garden pieces. Actually, each piece passes through 22 pairs of hands, so it's a real labour of love. What makes the product so special is the passion and commitment of the people working in the factory at Stoke-on-Trent.
I've worked at Portmeirion for 8 years.
I've worked here 12 years.
I've been doing this job, I've been lithographing from 16 and I'm 51 in a couple of weeks.
I've worked here 22.5 years now, and it's flown. It really, really has flown.
I love it, it's just so interesting. You have different items, you're not on the same item all day. Your bowls, fruits, mugs, plates, such a vast variation of stuff we do.
It's satisfying to see the end product because when it comes to us, it's just a lump of wet clay, and we see what the final product is, and there's some beautiful wear, beautiful products down there. They're lovely.
My job entails selecting the ware. It comes to me on a runner, and I pick a piece up and I tap it with a pencil with a nut on the end. If it sounds a sharp ting, then that means the piece is good.
So what I'm doing now, I'm applying it and I'm taking all the water and all the bubbles out so it's smooth. Because the ware's warm, the print will soften and I can manoeuvre it and put it in place. And that's how it's done.
I trained him for 5 years. It's very, very rewarding. You're taking somebody who's never ever done anything like this type of job, and then you're taking them through a process, and at the end, for me, the most rewarding thing is to see that they can go on the job, they can do it safely, and they can do a good job. I'm proud of that, really.
The reason I love working here mainly is the people. They're lovely people. The banter with them is fantastic, a right good laugh.
It's a place that when I first come, I knew that I'd be here for a while. I knew that I'd be here for a long time.
It's like coming back home.
So So much of my grandmother's inspiration came from plants and nature. The amazing roses at the Stoke factory were given to her by her friend David Austin. He used to give her trial plants that she then planted all around the walls. I remember they smelled amazing, and she was delighted because roses wouldn't grow in the wet climate of North Wales. She actually made a huge collection of drawings and paintings of roses. Susan really treasured loved ones. One year, my grandparents gave me and my sisters a beautiful Botanic garden dolls tea set each. It consisted of a ceramic tray with a teapot, a milk jug, a couple of teacups, and even a sugar bowl. And they were our obsession for many, many months. And I remember the deep satisfaction on realizing that the lid came off the teapot and actually the teapot poured. The products really are made to last. For example, my mother-in-law says that she's been waiting to buy new ceramics for years, that her Portmeirion pieces just won't break. In fact, she'll also be celebrating her own 50th Portmeirion anniversary this year, so they really are lifetime investments. Botanic Garden really is a timeless classic that is still loved around the world today.